Welcome back. You're now watching Trend Wave on Breakfast Central. We begin Trend Wave today in Nigeria, where several loan apps have become a thorn in the flesh of their users, as many of them are seen on various social media platforms harassing consumers or spreading defamatory messages to their friends and families. Now, in response to this continued complaints, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission in Nigeria has cautioned that it will contact Google to permanently delete digital money lending apps that harass and slander customers from its Play Store. This was announced by Babatunde Irukera, the Chief Executive Officer of FCCPC, during an interview on Tuesday, the 11th of July. Earlier in the year, the FCCPC mandated loan apps to register with the Commission, and so far, about 180 apps have gotten full or conditional approval from the Commission to operate in the country. Despite this, digital lenders, otherwise known as loan sharks, have continued to harass defaulters, leaving the Commission with no option but to take necessary actions to protect consumers. Well, I'm sure many of us have experienced this one way or the other, but we'll take a look at how Nigerians are reacting to this move by the FCCPC. That comment is from I am Krista Obet. It says, yes, please. Yesterday, someone called me and said I should tell some guy I've never heard his name in my life to pay the money he owes them, that if he doesn't pay, they will have to take drastic measures that will affect me as well. And they just went on to hang up without allowing me to rain insults as I should. I was so angry. Imagine spoiling my day, because if I knew the debtor, he would have collected the insults on their behalf. God save them. But let's take a look at more reactions to this story. Fried_A729 says, my sister borrowed 330 Naira to buy recharge cards from them. They're threatening to put her on wanted list. I agree with the idea of deleting of the app permanently. Let's take a look at more comments. Tobiloba says, to collect credit is sweet, but to pay back, wahala. The only way to get your money back on debtors is by publicly harassing them. I guess here in Nigeria, you definitely have to do that. _Pisho says, they shouldn't waste any time on that. Delete them, please. I can't even rest because someone else borrowed money from them. They keep disturbing my peace, telling me a friend refused to pay a loan. We hardly talk, bro. Wow, that's an interesting comment there. That one is from IMP Show. But let's take a look at more stories from Nigeria, where Nigerian students are currently facing tough times in the United Kingdom after the Naira equivalent of their tuition fees increased by over 60% following the latest policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria to unify the nation's foreign exchange rates. About 2 weeks after President Bola Tinubu promised to unify the nation's multiple exchange rates, the Apex Bank has decided to float the Naira at the investors and exporters windows of the foreign exchange markets. Since then, the Naira has fallen from $471 to $750, and also 589.4 to a pound to 957.2 to a pound. This has led to about a 60% increase in tuition fees for students in the UK, and this has put more pressure on many Nigerians that are schooling in the United Kingdom and beyond. Many of these students may now have to struggle to pay the balance of their tuition due to the strong dip in the value of the Naira. Will this be a turn-off for aspiring Nigerians who want to leave the country for educational purposes? Well, we don't know, but we'll see how people are reacting to this quite interesting one. This is kind of a situation that has hit home for so many of us. I mean, for family members and for people who have friends who also are students in the United Kingdom. But we'll see how people are reacting on social media to these stories. That's a comment from Insta Commenter. It says, what is the benefit of a Nigerian studying abroad to the Nigerian economy? Zero. All they do is take money from Nigeria to develop foreign countries, and once they graduate, 99% of them do not come back to Nigeria. Why on earth is the Nigerian government subsidizing middle-class families who can afford to send their children abroad when people are dying of hunger? It's better to subsidize education in Nigeria. That's a remark from Insta Commenter, and I think he has a valid point there. Kings for Real goes on to say our government should invest a lot in our education system. Meanwhile, most of the people jackpying are not really jackpying for... Jackpying is, traveling out of the country. They're not really traveling out of the country for education purposes. They're traveling for passports, they're traveling for better job opportunities, etc. And it says that our government should please fix the basic amenities like power, security, health, and education, and enable the environment for businesses to thrive. Then things will surely change. And it goes on to say, God bless Nigeria. Let's take a look at more reactions to this story. King Phil says, when I was doing my master's in Europe, I saw lots of Nigerians, mostly guys, going through depression. Abroad is not for everybody. Wow, that's an interesting one there. Choice Healthy Living goes on to say, to put this in context, if your school fee is $15,000 before the unification, you would be paying 7.2 million Naira. But right now, if you will have to pay 11.7 million Naira, and that's a whopping sum. A lot of students may need or may be forced to drop out. That's a remark from Choice Healthy Living. Folarin Wilfred goes on to say that, man, for me don't show us shege, but what can we do? Every government with its own policy. I pray God sees us through, because paying this fee with pounds is highly tasking. I goes on to say, I pray God sees us through. Nigerians must definitely pray about everything. And surely, I'm sure this has kind of affected everybody. I have a friend of mine who was supposed to travel out of the country for her schooling. And unfortunately, because of the exchange rate right now, she can't afford to do that. And she's been really depressed. So I think this is a situation that's kind of hit home for so many of us. Even if when you're not necessarily traveling, you probably have someone who is there. You probably have someone who wants to, but cannot for this reason, and is highly affected by this. I don't know if perhaps Osaoge or Joe, if you have a comment to this situation.
It's a tough one now. I mean, just as the Guardian newspaper put it, though it was projecting that of Nigeria, there's another article I stumbled on yesterday. It was also projecting the challenges that's being faced outside of the country. But the Guardian also, linked both of them. So if you have a child in the UK now, as we speak, it's a major crisis you're going through, because you're battling inflation here in Nigeria, taking care of things at home front. And you're also battling, trying to ensure that you could pay the tuition fees outside of the country. So it's a double decker, I'd like to call it that way. That's what it is. So I agree. I also take sides with some of those commenters that you actually brought forward.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, the exchange rate on the parallel market for the pound is more than 1,000 currently. And so, I can imagine what it will be like paying 20, 25, 15, 18,000 pounds for school fees, or even more. But of course, this, would just let you remind, or it's a good time to remind you guys that Nigerians will still go.